Well, jabs between President Biden and former President Trump getting a little sharper as the 2024 campaign season heats up and summer gets closer. President Biden describing Donald Trump as, quote, clearly unhinged this weekend and claiming that, quote, something happened in him after losing the 2020 presidential race. Meantime, Trump says, quote, the gloves are off as he refers to the Manhattan DA as Fat Alvin Bragg, former New Jersey Governor Kristi as a, quote, fat pig, and President Biden as a, quote, moron.
He's a fool. He's not a smart man. He never was. I talk about him differently now because now the gloves are off.
A new set of polls out this morning. They show Trump leading President Biden in 5 of the 6 states that are likely to determine the outcome of this election. The polls by the New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer show Trump ahead in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada. Biden leads only narrowly in one state, that's Wisconsin. The president carried all 6 of these states last time around, but voters are expressing widespread dissatisfaction with the country, that the direction the country has taken in the past 4 years. There are particular weaknesses in terms of Black and Hispanic voters, as well as younger voters, over issues related to the economy and the war in Gaza. As we are every Monday at this time, we're joined by Steve Schmidt, Scripps News analyst and founder of The Warning podcast, a newsletter for his take on all things political. Good morning, sir. I guess we will start with that poll. That's the big story right now on the Times. Trump up in 5 of the 6 states, as we said, kind of hemorrhaging, or at least losing considerably Black and Hispanic and young voters. Gaza is a big part of that. I'm wondering, anything can change, and there's still miles to go. I'm wondering how deeply you buy into that narrative and what you make of these polls.
Well, the polls are on a continuum, good morning, of bad news for the president. And there's a lot of denialism about this and has been for some time. The truth of the matter is that Donald Trump has been consistently ahead, meaning that if the election were tomorrow and who would win, it would be Trump. And that is what is borne out with these numbers. They just continue to demonstrate a perpetual weakness within the Biden campaign, within the president's reelection standing, and strength, residual strength, growing strength, and intensity of strength on Trump's part. And so what you see is an unfurling dynamic where there really is not a coalition that exists that can elect Joe Biden. It's gone. What does exist is a coalition that can stop Donald Trump. But that coalition and President Biden's strategy are completely misaligned right now at about 176 days left in the race until we know who wins.
And just as a quick follow-up to that, and you use the word denialism, and I hear that, and I think people forget 2016, where it was, you know, perhaps the lack of strategy and arrogance on the Hillary Clinton end that cost her that election. Oh, well, Donald Trump can never win. And then he stunned the world. So to underestimate Donald Trump, to me, it just seems like a really awful mistake, and you haven't been paying attention. But to me, listening to you also suggests that RFK Jr. ultimately may determine the 2024 race, and that is being underplayed. Forget the brain, the worm in the brain, and the voice, and and the vaccine stance. Mathematically here, he's in a position to tip this thing in a way that people seem to be underestimating.
There is a 30-minute long-form video that's just been released that's been narrated by my friend Woody Harrelson on behalf of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And it may be the most compelling 30-minute political video that I've ever seen. It's a masterpiece. And it takes on directly the attacks that are leveled at Robert Kennedy, which are that he's crazy. And when people see this, if they see it, I suspect it will resonate. I showed it to some people over this weekend that don't do politics for a living, and it had a transformative effect. there is tremendous dissatisfaction in the country. The question is will Robert Kennedy pierce 30% in national polls by the time we get to September 15th? If he does, he's very much in the running. And I think what there's a lack of imagination and a lack of appreciation for is the turbulence that lies ahead over the balance of the 176 days and the degree to which that the race that is occurring is not really the race that is covered on most media because one of the central players is omitted from the coverage of the race, but because we live in the time that we live in, is able to get around those walls, under them, above them, around them, to reach the American people with a sophisticated social media strategy. And it is taking that candidacy, Robert Kennedy's, into that 20% range. And if you get there, you can get to 30%. You get to 30%, you get to 38%, you can win the election. A lot of miles ahead, as you said.
Well, that kind of dynamic is really increasingly fascinating. Thanks for highlighting the new documentary that's out. Before we let you go, there's also increased talk right now of what Trump may do in terms of the VP pick. I'm just wondering, what would conventional politics suggest, and then what do you think Donald Trump would do? He's done well being unconventional.
When I look at Donald Trump and I look at the VP selection, there are two candidates who have tapped themselves out, if you will, and that is Alabama Senator Britt after her disastrous State of the Union overacting performance, and of course South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem in spectacular fashion. When you evaluate the rest of the field, there is Elise Stefanik, there's Tim Scott. And there's Marco Rubio. I don't think Doug Burgum is a serious candidate for consideration. But of all the people that are out there, I think the person that Donald Trump will bend most towards is Marco Rubio, with a big asterisk there. And that asterisk is that both men constitutionally can't run as president and vice president from the same state. So either Trump is going to declare a New Jersey residency, or Marco Rubio is going to declare a Washington, D.C. residency, or some other state. He may not actually be able to run from Washington either. But I think Marco Rubio right now is the front runner on the list.
I am fascinated by that. I wish we had more time. I'd like to really dig into that. We should also point out that Trump did have Governor Burgum up there with him in New Jersey during that big rally in South Jersey over the weekend, for however people want to read those tea leaves. But you're putting your money on Marco. We'll dig into that more next time. For now, Scripps News contributor, and founder of The Warning, Steve Schmidt. Always good to talk to you, sir. Thanks for making time.
Good morning.